nor that I can really say that for Melbourne Mavericks. But this game is going to give us a bit of an indication as to maybe where these two teams sit. If I had to give a prediction, I'd probably be leaning toward Athletico just a little bit, again, based on that experience that they have got. But as is often the case, you know, those newer players coming into Contenders, they might have a bit of extra hunger, they might be more keen to prove themselves, they might go out of the gates a lot harder, and that is what we may well see from Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, and they're looking at Melbourne Mavericks running the DPS composition. Exerst on the Widowmaker is very well known for this hero, as they've already picked off Paso. He was a bit slow to get back, and it doesn't seem like Athletico are going to change too much, just going off to the Ana. Oh no, Weavo's gone on to Tracer, so it looks like they will be running this counter to DPS, the Sombra, the Tracer, these agile heroes that look to get in and force these 1v1 engagements to split this Mercy up from her team.
I wonder how well that is going to work. Melbourne Mavericks, I mean, that's basically the easiest start to AU Contenders you could have hoped for, getting a pick onto your opponent out the gates. Exerst has been able to do it onto Weavo. And that's not really how Athletico would have envisioned this was going to go, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Soggy looks to be doing a lot of work on Farah, getting close to that barrage.
I mean, it's literally almost like we haven't actually started the game yet.
Yeah,
but we've given Melbourne Mavericks a 20% win, 20% advantage.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's been a lot of action for us to call at the moment, but it is sparse and spread out as D-Field manages to get a kill. Paso getting very low there, managed to hide in his bubble before he gets taken out. Davey under pressure, but doesn't go down just yet. Razorfish manages to catch him just in time as Quad J unable to commit and gets DMAC'd. The point flips over to Athletico, but I haven't seen a lot of action yet.
No, I mean, it's certainly not from Athletico. Exerst has been having a good time. Soggy as well with the Rocket Barrage, pretty keen. And a lot of damage across from that one. I mean, this is a little bit surprising considering Athletico have actually capped the point back. But does Melbourne Mavericks actually win this fight? Well, Tracer with the Pulse Bomb, not going to have much to say about it.
Seems like it's just Weavo versus the world at the moment. A very sloppy fight from both teams, but I guess that's the nature of these DPS versus DPS compositions. They're spreading out, they're taking angles and taking these 1v1 duels.
Which is probably to their better, like, that's really, I think, what Melbourne Mavericks need to be doing. They need to be playing to their win conditions.
I think they have some strong mechanical players in their roster, and it would be good to see them, how they go in these 1v1 duels.
Penny up, dude.
Penny up.
Go with the EMP straight out there from Slipchip. It catches a lot of players. Weavo, again, has just been slammed by Exerst. That is something we've been seeing time and time again. A very nice hack there onto the Primal Raging Winston of Paso is going to mean that his effectiveness is simply neutralized a little bit. The rest of Melbourne Mavericks do back on away, which is going to give Athletico the cap point over here, but as has been the history so far in this matchup, it doesn't seem like it's going to take too long before Melbourne Mavericks cap it back.
Yeah, very back and forth at the moment. The use of ultimates as well. Slipchip now, Mavericks are now transitioning over to the 3-3 composition with the Moira. Maybe they think they can find an advantage here, just playing together, but they are going to be running into an EMP on the side of Athletico.
Goat's composition doesn't really enjoy the EMP, does it? Well, here it is, straight out from D-Field. It's a decent one as well, and wow, what a great Bionade out from Goobs. Puts all of the Melbourne Mavericks players, well, all three of the Melbourne Mavericks players purple, and well, that'll be the fight over pretty quickly and cleanly.
Yeah, and that was a good fight from Athletico. Now they're looking to swap themselves to this 3-3 composition. There's a bit of back and forth, a bit of chess being played, I guess.
Davey is 2 steps ahead, though. He sees Athletico swapping off, or anticipates them swapping off, and goes straight onto Zenyatta, which is what you want, as opposed to the Moira in the Goats v Goats matchup.
Weavo dropping very low there, managing to stay alive as they try and aggress with this sound barrier onto Davey. He drops very low and gets the armor pack, but Penny is the one that falls first. Soggy looks to be cleaned up after, and this is strong from Athletico.
Yeah,
93% on the point.
It's actually looking like the tables have most certainly turned, and turned in the weirdest of ways as well. Melbourne Mavericks had, I feel like, such an advantage, but once we go back onto this 3-3 mirror, it does not seem like Melbourne Mavericks are able to stand up to Athletico's experience. Maybe running around there on Zenyatta out in the open, but he's okay for the moment. He's just in big ultimates across, particularly the Graviton Surge from Exerst. Just going to catch a lot of Athletico players. Only Paso will go down, however, as Weavo gets one back, but that is a very nice Earth Shatter from Penny. Maybe enough to win the map here for Melbourne Mavericks, or at least the round, I should say.
Yeah, Penny with a big Earth Shatter, counter Earth Shatter there, getting stuck in the Graviton Surge. He notices there's no shield on the side of Athletico after Paso gets taken out and lands a massive shatter. to turn the fight. And now going into the next fight, it's going to be dicey. This should be a last fight situation.
Yes, it will. Quad J has got self-destruct, D-field rally, but nothing there that makes you think, okay, this is exactly what they need to use to get the fight win. Quad J maybe provides some space, maybe he gets lucky with a pick from the self-destruct, but there's nothing really to set it up unless the Earth Shadow gets built quickly here by Passo, or they use the self-destruct to enable the Earth Shadow. Well, self-destruct as expected to buy some space. Razorfish run right into it. He literally face tanks the self-destruct from Quad J, goes down just after getting his sound barrier out, but Quad J is having a big fight here. 2 kills to follow the one from the self-destruct, and well, I think we all know the way that this one is going. Soggy won't last long on his own, even with rally up. That'll be the end. Athletico capping it out. Maybe you're going to see some stagger here from Melbourne Mavericks, but game's over. Round's over.
Yeah, Quad J really turning that fight there and getting the Diva Bomb kill onto Razorfish, caught looking at the sun. Follows up with the 2 kills with the Rockets. That's big from him, and I'd like to see this improvement out of this Athletico side. It's been a while since Tainted Minds were in Contenders, a very long time, and it showed that there's improvement on that side. Quad J looked very good that round.
He did indeed. I think Quad J was the one that, well, Wubo definitely missed a season here or there. I think Quad J's also missed a season here or there.
Quad J played for Breakaway previously. He's been quite a good player.
But I don't think Quad J played last season, did he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but D-Field did.
Yep,
so,
D-Field played for Athletico.
Yeah, he's been around just a little bit longer. Regardless, I mean, it doesn't matter too much. They all have a wealth of experience over what Melbourne Mavericks have got. I do feel as though the tipping point there for Melbourne Mavericks was like when they decided to go back to the 3-3. What was working was the DPS composition.
Yeah, I think that's going to be their strength this season, is these DPS compositions, and especially Exerst with his raw natural talent at aiming. Then I think that's going to be their best bet.
Raw natural aim, that's definitely something that you would associate with a player like Exerst. What is going on here for Athletico? They've spotted out what Melbourne Mavericks are running and they've decided to shift things up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good decision by Athletico. There's not really much point running into these counter comps just head first and feeding them all charge before the point unlocks. Just if you can get to the point, but let the point unlock, let them capture it, and then get into a good position to take the fight.
On for one trade, Goob's down, but so is Exerst. Without that extra healing, you would think Athletico might be at a disadvantage, but Exerst certainly is a power player for Melbourne Mavericks, and now it's going to be all onto Soggy to do the damage here on Farah, and he's just not quite landing the rockets that he needs to. Time to back up.
Yeah, no, so very close, but yet so far a good fight from Athletico, managed to getting that dive onto Exerst and Davey and cleaning them up very, very quickly, turning the fight in their favour. Now we see the GOATs dance, as both teams will eventually end up on GOATs, I believe. Yep, here we go.
The GOATs dance.
And you'd think this does favour Athletico after last round, especially if they've still retained capture points, so they have a little bit of point to play with. They're not afraid to give it up here for a little bit.
Exactly. Melbourne Mavericks get the free one, but I don't know how long that is going to last. Design does go low, but doing some fancy footwork on the pylon will keep himself alive. And now look at how spread out the Melbourne Mavericks roster is, especially without your main tank. It's very difficult to make this GOATs composition, the 3-3 composition, work. And of course, Passo is still surviving for Athletico. Wubo chased down by Exerst. I don't know how that's happened. I don't actually know how Athletico are losing this fight.
Yeah,
but somehow they found a way.
Exerst doing big damage, but just not enough. And this fight's stalled out a while, but all the while Mavericks has been in control of the point, so they're going to be the happy ones at the moment. The 2 support ults are committed to these last few kills. Maybe a bit of overcommitment. They still haven't managed to clean up Penny. He's lived forever, but finally he does go down.
I mean, I think those are kind of like insurance ultimates really for Athletico. It's like, okay, well, let's just use these, make sure that we win this fight, because if it gets any further than this, it's going to get a little bit out of hand. We've kind of already thrown one fight away. Let's not get rid of the next one. It's cap for Athletico. It's a really backwards and forwards game here, isn't it? I mean, Melbourne Mavericks, they can't hold on to the point very long. Neither can Athletico, it seems.
No, it seems like both teams are struggling to hold that point, but 4 HP on Exerst, dancing with death there, I guess. But Mavericks will come in for the 6 ult fight this fight. 5 on the side of Athletico. The Graviton Surge just sent in by Exerst. He does get Earth Shadow, and the counterbomb comes out from Quad J. Big Earth Shadow on the side of Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, Penny, very well done from him. Gets the Fire Strike through to follow up onto D-Field. Now the rest of the Athletico players are just scrambling to survive, maybe scrambling to sit on that point and die on the point to buy a little bit more time. It'll be Quad J that's the last. No, I lied. Design up on top of the drum. Wow, how is he still alive? Well, there we go. He's finally finished off.
Yeah, and that was a 5-ult fight on the side of the Melbourne Mavericks. They really invested everything they had in that. Getting the capture point, very important though, as they will only have one more fight if Athletico manage to win. It'll be interesting to see how they counterplay the Wuvo grab here. Look for Slip Jib to try and get that cancel, that eat with the defense matrix. Otherwise, it could be a pretty rough fight for the side of the Melbourne Mavericks.
Maybe the fight here for Melbourne Mavericks does win them the round. Graviton Surge is on the floor. Wuvo, no eat coming out this time from Slip Jib, but a 1-for-1 trade. Exerst gets Pasto. That's a big pick to make, but so too is the Lucio being down, and Wuvo perhaps overcommitting there a little bit. Graviton Surge now through from Exerst. And it looks like Melbourne Mavericks are going to put that one to good use as they will finish the point off pretty comfortably this time. So
yeah, well played.
Back in there on the wrecking ball, but all he's going to be able to do is beat the drum.
Yeah, it seems like he's having fun on the drum too, going.
I actually I've never really liked playing wrecking ball on this point because that drum is very difficult to spin around properly.
Yeah, it is actually quite.
It's just a little bit too fat.
Funny.
And also the fact that you can't bang the drum as wrecking ball and make a noise with it.
Yeah, I don't know, because you can shoot the bell on Hanamura, it looks nice, but
surely if you are like swinging as wrecking ball and hitting the drum, it should be going bong, 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 bong.
Yeah, that or hitting with the brick play or whatever on hammer should definitely make a noise.
Yeah.
But Exerst played very well in that round on the Zarya, had some really big impact Graviton Surges there, as you can see at the end, and managed to help clean up the fight too. Now we're going to 1-1, so we'll go to downtown, and oh no, we'll go to Mecha Base now, as we already played downtown.
Mecha Base, indeed. I feel like this is the map where it actually comes a little bit more difficult to make the DPS composition work. There's not much room to move. Seems like Melbourne Mavericks are going to go for it anyway.
Yeah, this point has been decent for Widowmakers, especially in the Overwatch league. The Guangzhou Charge have been using it a bit, but they did put that away towards the end of stage 1, I believe, in favor of the Goats composition. Oh, Quad J is going to roll out in this May. I know he won't bait me.
Huh.
Right, interesting. I think he'll be very sad to see that the enemy team is playing DPS though.
It's a bit interesting as well that Melbourne Mavericks, they continually start on DPS, but then they shift over onto Goat's composition later on in the piece. Anyway,
Yeah.
what can Exerst do to start things off? He has been pretty consistent on the Widowmaker. Again, we haven't seen too much of it this season, but the Widowmaker player has been good, and just because of that fear factor from Melbourne Mavericks, Athletico back away, and they almost give up the point here. Maybe not quite. We'll get on just with a touch.
Big damage already going on to Paso and Design though. It's really put them behind in healing.
T-Field gets the better of Slip Jib, and the dive comes in from Winston, but there's quite a lot of players to dive on top of, which is probably less than ideal. Good hack though onto Soggy means that he can't blink out of there, can't relocate, and it will go down in the end. Athletico actually make it work. The Sombra Goats, Sombra 3-3. Well, I mean, it's not even Sombra Goats at this point, is it? It's literally just like dive.
Yeah, it's
so,
just dive.
There you go.
But D-Field playing well there, getting the hack, I assume, on his counterpart and getting the kill, and then getting the hack onto Wuvo too to get that kill. That was well played by D-Field. See an experienced player, and he's really showing that experience and using it in this matchup.
Well, Melbourne Mavericks have gone back to the 3-3. We'll try and make that one work, straight onto the point. Big ultimate disadvantage for them, with the exception, of course, of Davey, who's got the Bionade, but nothing going to matter anyway when there's an EMP on the other side of the field. A good one from D-Field. Pretty sure he hit everybody on Melbourne Mavericks there, and that should result in a very easy fight win for Athletico, which it does.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Paso has just popped his Primal Rage to get back to spawn faster, and yep, here we go. The Goat stance once more. We're back on 3-3 all around, boys.
Oh, yep. D-Field has eventually gone on to Brigitte. 50% already built up here for Athletico. It's looking definitely like a map win on the cards for them. But obviously, because they change off later, the Melbourne Mavericks, we're going to see some of the ults come up a little earlier for Melbourne Mavericks, which may well be critical. Sound barrier down now from Athletico, and that's going to be from Design, and it's going to be more than enough to deal with Melbourne Mavericks.
That'll be a very, very clean fight. Only investing the sound barrier there, 6 for 0. Melbourne Mavericks didn't build that much ult charge off that. Davey sitting quite low, so worrisome signs here for the Melbourne Mavericks. They'll really need a big player now to come in this next fight.
Actually going to be a 4 ultimate fight though for Melbourne Mavericks. The 2 supports will be missing. Everyone else is getting pretty close. It's going to be imperative, though, that they don't lose players on the entry here. Earthshatter down from Passo. It looks like Penny's on the floor, and Penny is also now 6 feet under because he is dead. Soggy has managed to get his rally out, but realistically speaking, it's not going to make that major difference that Melbourne Mavericks are looking for. Chip 1 with the self-destruct, but counted out straight away by Quad J, who gets him in the Baby Diva form. Now Earthshatter down from Penny. That might be the turning point. Exurst will get 2.
Massive shadow.
And Passo now very low as well. Melbourne Mavericks, they've managed to find a way to keep themselves alive here on the 3rd round of Busan.
And Penny and Exurst really turning that fight. That was really, really good to see. Just waiting on that Earthshatter. He waits until the shield's dead and then just lays it out. People on the ground, Exurst can easily clean them up. Davey sitting on the high ground as well, just shelling damage in. That's exactly where you want to be.
2 support ultimates for Melbourne Mavericks is what they have to hold with here, but it's a long hold that they need to make. 99% to 0 for Athletico, so plenty of chances.
Quad J moving onto this maid to try and cut the enemy team in half, and let's see if he can get a nice wall here.
An eye on it, and that was a decent one, but nothing really comes from it. Goops is forced into the Transcendence to keep Passo alive there. Now out comes the Graviton Surge from Wubo, and it looks to be a pretty good one. Countered well by the sound barrier from Razorfish, but it's probably not going to do enough, being only a sound barrier. Now the investment comes across from Athletico in their own sound barrier. That is going to be the end of this particular fight. Athletico cleaning it up fairly comfortably. Quad J, that may being a real big problem. Penny slammed away from the point. Headshot from Quad J. That may go into good use. And Athletico cleaning up Busan here.
Yeah, the May wall was a good use, but they managed to counterplay it very well on the Melbourne Mavericks as Exurst just falls on the Doomfist. The last players finishing up. But it's nice to see a little bit of variation from Athletico. Using Quad J on that May, primarily known as a Diva player, didn't really play a lot else in previous seasons he's played, so it's nice seeing him flex a little bit and go onto that May pick.
I do like to see games like that where it sort of feels like a bit more of a rock, paper, scissors game, right? Instead of who can play goats better, because it's pretty obvious that neither of these teams are like, oh yeah, you know, we're the best 3-3 team in this matchup. But for Melbourne Mavericks, there's the option of going for like the Widowmaker, for the Sombra, the Tracer, that kind of stuff, where they try to find those opening picks early on, and that was what was working on Downtown. Once that sort of got pegged back a little bit, they reverted obviously to 3-3, but then Athletico kind of bring in their own variations as well. So they're all just trying to outthink each other, it feels like, and inevitably that was maybe Athletico. I don't know if they necessarily, quote-unquote, out-thought Melbourne Mavericks there, or I suppose just outplayed them a little bit when it did come to, like, you know, push come to shove.
Yeah, and I like to look at Soggy on that Pharaoh at the first point. I was quite disappointed that they swapped off onto the 3-3 composition. I feel like that's not their strength as a team with their roster, and I'd like to see them stay on this DPS a bit longer. Find a way to make it work, because teams aren't going to be practicing against DPS, so you might be able to sneak a point here or two.
But how easy is it to make the Widowmaker work really against that 3-3 composition? Because yeah, that is the go-to generally for Exurst, but it doesn't really seem like it has a great matchup into 3-3.
Yeah, you really need to find those sneaky angles to find the Zenyatta or the Lucio players. And it can be quite difficult, but with good tank play, which Penny has shown to this date, I think that they could make it work.
Potentially. That's something that we'll probably look more towards on other maps, you know, when we get to some things like Hollywood and those sort of more open maps where you do see a bit more of an opportunity for the flanking angles, perhaps. But I do also feel as though, like, in the current meta, it's hugely important for teams to be able to at least have a solid understanding of 3-3. So it's not like you can just be like, yeah, look, we're only going to go DPS. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't work. Sometimes it's not going to work, especially against the better teams, right? If you can't make it work against Athletico, how are you going to make it work against a team like Order?
Well, that's exactly right. There is 3-3 to be played in the map pool. There is no avoiding it, unfortunately, but I think that the Mavs could pull off some upsets here, especially on the King of the Hill points, where they can get this DPS composition to work.
Well, unfortunately, they haven't. That's the problem.
Unfortunately, they didn't this time. They played the Goats dance, and they ended up dancing by themselves, I guess. Yeah,
Control has gone the way of Athletico. 2-1. Look, to be fair, fairly close. You know, it still doesn't give us a huge indication as to, okay, Athletico is much better in this matchup, or Melbourne Mavericks is much better in this matchup. So I still don't really know where to call this one. Again, I did say I thought Athletico might be a little favoured, but it's only one map.
I think the experience of Athletico showed there. It was a very back and forth map. On all 3 points were very back and forth, and I think Athletico just being able to make the decisions quicker on changing to the Goats composition and then executing their ults a little bit better was the difference there. And It's good showing from Mavs though. They come in very inexperienced. This is the first time for the Contenders players, most of them. The first time they're playing Contenders, and it can be quite nerve-wracking. So get the nerves out the way, and let's see how they go in these following maps.
This is one of the following maps. Volskaya onto it once again.
And this is a map where you will see DPS come out, especially on the attack of the first point. It's very popular. So
even on the defensive first point, we saw it a little bit last season. Like double sniper almost. It was more so like Widow Ash, but I'm going to kind of call that double sniper anyway. So that could be an option for Melbourne Mavericks, but looks like they're starting on the attack, so...
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them roll out with this, except maybe Xur swaps to Widow. The McCree, not the most potent at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them roll out.
I'm a big fan of McCree though, man. It's so fun to watch.
It is. It's very satisfying to watch, very satisfying to play. And that Deadeye, with that buff that it got semi-recently, is actually quite powerful. You just need D.Va to fall out of the meta a little bit, and I can see McCree being a very...
let's face it, what are the chances of that?
Slim to none.
Yeah. Alright. So is it the DPS composition again here for Melbourne Mavericks? Looks to be. But Slipchip's going to be on to Sombra. So, you know, they sort of tend to toss the rolls around a little bit, it looks like, here for Melbourne Mavericks.
Oh, it looks like they're going to swap to the goats. Okay.
Sombra goats? Nope, just standard goats.
Very interesting. And Athletico doing the scouting there on Quad J after seeing nothing. They'll be excited to see goats. This is what you kind of want to play into. Big anti-nade does not land. Very well eaten there by Slipchip. But Paso still able to gather a little bit of ultimate charge.
Yes, a little bit though. It's not really enough for me.
No, and he's going to be pressured pretty heavily here. You might see the same fate as Quads took earlier. He manages to get onto the high ground, that's good.
Just need to kind of slow this offensive down from Melbourne Mavericks till the point where Paso gets up to his primal rage, but Wubo gets split off and absolutely executed by Melbourne Mavericks. Nicely done by Goose. Puts Slipchip to sleep up on top of the roof, but is that time enough?
Yeah, he managed to hit a nice biotic grenade there to kill Penny as well, so it's well played by Goose. He does eventually go down to the Exhaust, and it looks like Melbourne Mavericks are getting the upper hand in this fight. The Primal Rage has come out, but I don't think you're going to be able to get too much off this one, Paso.
Not enough. Not enough by any stretch of the imagination. He's cleaned up pretty comfortably. The Melbourne Mavericks, a good solid first take on point A, and what's best as well is that they've kept a lot of those big key ultimates through for the point B push. Exerce has got his. Slipchip will have a self-destruct pretty soon to make that hole-in-one combo dream a reality.
And with Goobs just swapping on the Zenyatta, there won't be an ult to cancel this Graviton Surge out on the side of Exerce. If he can get this ult off early, they can get a good fight in here.
It's the best chance for Melbourne Mavericks to make this one work. From here on out, the going gets tougher, that is for sure. So, I have to put everything into this first offensive on point A. Grav does go down, but only catches Paso, and in fact, he is even going to survive through that by the looks of things. Gets charged away, but it's not a big deal. Design on the floor. It'll be Wuvo the first to drop, though. Maybe overextending a little there. Davey hanging on to this Transcendence still is a big bonus for Melbourne Mavericks. Maybe that will come out shortly, but it's down barrier initially. Penny is dropped. That's a big loss for Melbourne Mavericks. They need to make this fight work, I think. And I don't know if it's coming out cleanly enough. Exer's doing a lot of damage, back up to 60% of the Graviton Surge already. Wubo pushed back once again. Melbourne Mavericks, they are still fighting hard.
The Graviton Surge eaten by Slipchip from Wubo. That was the fight turner, as we see Paso going for a bit of a fly, but now the second Grav comes out on the side of Melbourne Mavericks. The first one wasn't too good, but this one is beautiful as he locks down 3 members and managed to clean up. Now the capture starts, and I don't think it's going to stop.
The capture's going to start and the round's going to end, I think is the way that you could have put in that one, because look at even how hard Quad J is getting booped away from the point. He will just get a little bit of a stagger here, and that is going to buy the time for Paso on the Wrecking Ball to come back into the picture, but not for too much longer at all. Wubo, again, doesn't last long either.
Yeah, they're just failing to clean up these staggers, the time off the clock, but 99.5 turns into 100, and that's a 4.5 minute time bank there for the side of Melbourne Mavericks. They'll be very pleased with that result. I think that snowball from the first Graviton Surge out of Exerst in that fight, only catching the Reinhardt. He wasn't optimal, but it managed to get the Reinhardt into a bad position via the pin from Paso, from Penny, and from there they were able to get an Earth Shatter onto Wuvo, take him out, there's your main damage source down, and they were able to push through and just collect up the fight from there, pretty much.
Good solid stuff from Melbourne Mavericks. Definitely a lot better than what we saw on Busan. It felt like once they had the advantage, they knew what advantages they had, and they knew how to execute as a result. So they push on forward, capture at point B very well indeed. And now the onus then is on Athletico to really reply to this.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. I think they'll just run the standard GOATS compositions on both teams. Again, the Winston Ana is favoured, so every team so far today has played this Winston Ana on defense. It's interesting. I guess it's to safeguard against the DPS compositions, as it does do a little bit better. But
and also the fact that it does give you a bit of an earlier power spike than the standard 3-3 composition. Generally takes a little bit less time to get the the Nano Boost and the Primal Rage up than it takes to get the Earth Shatter and the Transcendence up. And for a point like point A, where you're probably not expecting to really full hold there, if you can get like 2 or 3 fight wins, that's probably enough time bought out of point A that you feel like, okay, you know what, that was worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And see Slipjip doing the scouting on the roof. Very common for the Diva players especially to be doing this. He will scout that it is 3-3, and they'll be happy with that. No surprises, no funny stuff, just 3-3 versus 3-3.
Razorfish will be a little too late to find the boot, which is going to make the rotation a bit easier here for Athletico, but gets across in time for the second one. And wow, what a great focus fire there from Melbourne Mavericks, and Davey in particular. Got to give him a shout out. It was a very nice Bionade, straight onto design, and he went down pretty quick.
That's the boot that you want to see from the Lucio, sitting above that rotation and managed to get the flex support and the main support just knocked out the Lucio and the Zenyatta, the squishy boys. And from there you can really collect up with that Winston and the Bionade. So Athletico back to the drawing board here. It looks like they're still keen to push on, and they've got onto point, but surely they'll be... Okay, Slipjip does go down to design, knocking him off the map. This is very interesting from the side of Melbourne Mavericks. They've chose to rotate all the way across. Penny comes back in with the Primal Rage and came out of nowhere.
Yeah, this is a little bit messy, it feels like.
Very messy.
Melbourne Mavericks have not gotten themselves into a good position at all, and I guess you reap what you sow with Athletico being able to push really well through point A. That is a little bit of a disappointing result for Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, it would look to be a disaster if Athletico manages to turn out to a one fight somehow. And now they're going to go fast onto the second point of this false spy map.
Exerst has a grab here, at least to kind of trade with Wuvo, but maybe he doesn't even get the opportunity to use it. They need to keep Exerst up, and they cannot. He's gone. Graviton Surge out of the picture here. What a great start for Athletico onto point B. And it might not just be a start, it might well be a finish with even more time than what the Melbourne Mavericks had. I don't know that anyone's going to be able to get back here to recontest well enough. Exerst
comes in, but he's double headshot by Goobs there, and that puts him out of commission, and it does look like they're going to get a faster time.
Yeah. He got the grab off, but for all the good it was going to do.
That was a very fast Earth Shadow by Paso, realizing that those two players were vulnerable, and manages to take the chance and get the Earth Shadow down. Manages to take Exerst out before he can get his Graviton Surge off to stop the aggression, and here we are. Another big time bank game.
6 minutes and 1 second for Athletico. It's definitely a big time bank game, even more in general than our last. Jeez. So Melbourne Mavericks, they would have felt, oh, you know what? We did a pretty good job on attack. Well, now you have to do it again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They'll be looking for that same attack, because otherwise we could end up like the previous game where we end up with a tie. Getting that second point is quite difficult. Doing it once, that's great, but you got to do it again now.
4 minutes 44, certainly is enough. I wonder, do we see the change-ups from either side, or do we just continue to run the same thing?
Looks like they're both confident enough in their 3-3 play to try and go the same thing. Exerst has picked the Widowmaker. Maybe looking for a cheeky pick, but...
Could just be out the gate.
Oh, Slipjip's chosen Sombra. Maybe there's a bit of discussion in the back room about it.
Are you running Reinhardt with this composition, or are you running Winston?
Certainly not.
Or Wrecking Ball even?
You'd be definitely going to Wrecking Ball. But
so someone's swapping off, that's for sure.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to play the Sombra version of the GOATs.
Oh, yep. I don't know. What's happening? Come on, Melbourne Mavericks, wake up.
Translocating back to spawn, and now he's
there we go.
All right.
Miscommunication perhaps, but it costs 15 seconds. Could be a lot of seconds in the grand scheme of things. Well, here we go. Melbourne Mavericks quite comfortably around the corner.
Paso pushed off very early. Goes down.
Wow.
Already goes down. He gets discorded, and that's the end of him.
That should definitely not be happening. But Razorfish also drops early. Just the heals not coming across for either team well enough. And Goobs, nice Bionade, does put a spanner in the works there for Melbourne Mavericks. Certainly a big one as well. They can't get him off the high ground right now. Like, no one's really able to contest. Slipchip, he's out of booster again.
Yeah.
And even if he does go up alone, it's a Diva and an Ana up the top there. Eventually, Goobs does drop off. And finally, Melbourne Mavericks are really being able to benefit from those one-for-one trades that they had. Obviously takes a lot more time for Athletico to get back than it does for Melbourne Mavericks.
Goob's doing a lot of work on the high ground, but it just wasn't enough there. Unfortunately, Paso going down very quickly, actually, unexpectedly. Maybe they didn't call for the cooldowns that he needed, but either way, it's going to lead into a snowball on second, perhaps.
I feel like it's a bit of a sense of deja vu here, isn't it? Again, it'll be on to the Graviton Surge of Exerst that we look for, but that has very quickly been dispatched off. J, a very solid eat.
Yeah, there's still a chance for the Melbourne Mavericks here to wait off this nano boost and go back in on the back of this Earth Shatter, or maybe even the support ults that they have. They have an advantage here. They will have one more support ult, seeing as Athletico is running that Ana.
Maybe he's got his Transcendence up now. Just wait for the moment to strike. Penny now, I think, is going to be the primary CCO of the team for Melbourne Mavericks with the Earth Shatter available, but that goes straight into the shield of Paso. And this is where Athletico starts to pull ahead because they've got their Graviton Surge out now. Self-destruct across from Quad J, gets rid of Penny. And the rest of Melbourne Mavericks, they run away. It's like when you're doing the doorbell prank as a kid and you ring the doorbell and then run away. That's what Melbourne Mavericks did. They rang the doorbell. Athletico said, hey, get out of here.
And those kids
bolted.
They actually bolted.
Yeah. Hid behind the letterbox.
But they'll come back for more, I guess. Mavericks now coming back with a Graviton Surge. Let's see if Exerst can get big value off this one. Razorfish with the Sound Barrier to counteract. Probably the Earth Shadow from Paso.
Oh, you're not counteracting that!
No, beautiful setup there from D-Field and Paso, and they've just comboed down the Nano Boost to follow up to try and build a little more ultimate charge. Probably wasn't needed, but
if he
maybe
hits
it's a fire strike.
Oh, damn.
24.
Got 3.
You don't mind that? Goobs is now, after using that Nano Boost, swapped over, so that makes a little bit more sense to why that Nano Boost did come out.
Yeah. I mean, you would want the Zenyatta in a 3-3 matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Not having the Transcendence versus the Graviton Surge is really just sets you back a lot.
Not only that, but the Discord Orbs are pretty important as well.
Yeah, especially catching off these players that are off-angling.
Yeah.
Flushing out that pesky Diva.
So, another attempt for Melbourne Mavericks, but they have used a lot of their time. Graviton Surge through from Exerst to lock up 2 of the Athletico players, but the Sound Barrier across keeps Athletico fairly healthy, and now it comes down to how they can return, how they can counter push straight into Melbourne Mavericks. Look at that aggression, even the observers can't keep up. And of course, Melbourne Mavericks are pushed away once again.
It's been, again, Quad J getting the kills in the fight, turning it. I've been really impressed by Quad J this series so far, actually. He looks to be really comfortable playing on this Diva and playing in this 3-3 mirror. Athletico looking for this big hold, though.
Yeah.
First point was pretty rough, but this second point looks rock solid, really.
1 minute left for Melbourne Mavericks, and that pretty much means 1 point attempt left as well. 1 capture left. If they even get that far, D-Field, a little bit scary for him there, but the external bubble from Wuro keeps him fairly healthy. It does mean self-destruct can come across, but even better is the Earth Shatter down from Paso. The combo from Quad J just goes soaring across the sky. And you've been singing Quad J's praises all day long, and, well, why not do it again?
Yeah, well, he keeps performing, and that was a very big Earth Shatter out of Paso. They manages to catch the Lucio and the Zenyatta. The 2 targets you wouldn't expect to be Earth Shattered. So gets the kill from the Diva Bomb on that, and that's really big value, it really is. Davey unable to get his ultimate off. Razorfish close to his ultimate, could have got it off there. And now Razorfish is pressured to touch the point, but getting knocked around. by design, he might not be able to get. He will be able to get there.
Davey does have a Transcendence, but he's on the other side of the pillar there. It absolutely means nothing. Oh no, that's the worst feeling possible. That will be a solid hold again for Athletico. Poor old Davey.
Very solid hold off Athletico there. Almost a 5-minute hold, getting the extra time going from point A to point B. But that's very solid. And they just managed to rotate their ults, and they were just playing better goats, managing ultimates, managing combinations. It was actually really nice to see that they can play it to that level.
For anyone that doesn't know what was going on in that last fight, why I'm getting so excited about Davey, or not so excited, but you know what I mean. The Lucio Transcendence is Lucio Transcendence, goodness me. The Zenyatta Transcendence is line of sight. So if he's stuck behind a wall or something like that, you don't get the healing. And for Melbourne Mavericks, that's why they got cleaned up so quickly.
Yeah, getting caught in that Graviton Surge next to a pillar it's quite unfortunate for David. But now we'll see Athletico if they can do what the Drop Bears failed to do earlier, and with a 6-minute time bake, see if they can close out this map.
Well, if you had to put money on it, you'd probably be saying Athletico at this point, wouldn't you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is what you want to see if you're an attacking team. You want 6 minutes on the time bank and no capture point on the second point. This is really written down for Athletico.
Passo's been impressing me as well. I think actually the tank line for Athletico has been very solid.
Yeah, they've been looking really good. Passo and Defield have managed to set up a few Earth Shatter stun combos as well, which is always impressive. It's quite one of the harder ones to push off because it's very reactionary, you know. You look for it for so long and then something will happen, like a Zarya bubble will come out or a Lucio knockback, and it's very fast thinking and fast reaction.
Razor Fish, a nice boop, does result in a fair bit of damage on Athletico. Look at them, they're all down about half HP. Wubo, in fact, so low. So they're going to hold up in the safety of the stairwell to heal back up before they make the next cross, but that one is a lot more safe. He's only up to 43%, so again, not a huge amount. But Melbourne Mavericks know exactly where Athletico is coming from. It's a decent Bionade down there from Davey. Again, doesn't really do a whole lot. Quad J overextends, gets picked off, but one tick already there for Athletico. So even if the rest of this fight is a complete wipe, have got something out of this.
Yeah, they got something to show for it, and it looks like they're doing okay here. Penny getting very aggressive on this Winston, jumping around like a madman, gets back onto the high ground. That's where he wants to be, but Quad J is going to be back soon if they're not careful. Penny just dropping low before he gets the ult. Now he does have it, but he won't want to invest it after. There's already 2 down. The Reinhardt's down. It looks like they'll be able to repel this first fight, the Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, it should be a pretty safe win for the Melbourne Mavericks, which, again, we talk about this for order and said if you can start off well on point A, this is exactly what you need if you're going to hold off 6 minutes. I mean, there's already probably 2 minutes gone before Athletico touches the point again.
Yeah,
but do that another few times and bam, there, Bob's your uncle. I don't know, maybe
he actually
he's
is my uncle.
He is? There you go.
I actually do have an Uncle Bob.
I don't.
That's alright. You can borrow mine.
Alright.
But now, yeah, Melbourne Mavericks, they'll be looking to punish these rotations from Athletico. And Athletico, if they don't push this Zarya off the high ground, they're going to be experiencing a bit of pain. I think that's the first step to getting this point, is to getting this Zarya off the high ground, because just lobbing these right clicks in, especially with the Winston jumping in, it just does so much damage. You can't stop it.
He's not even holding the Primal Rage button down just yet, waiting as long as possible, buying as much time as possible. Those seconds are critical. Here it comes now for Penny, and look at how split Athletico are. Well, Graviton Surge down as well. It's going to catch all of Melbourne Mavericks. But they have so much to keep themselves alive. There was Sound Barrier. Penny was still in Primal Rage. You're not going to get a kill in there. Transcendence forced as well by Goobs. And what it's worth, they do at least get the kill onto Penny. So maybe it was a good investment out from Athletico.
Athletico, nervous moments there as they slay their support ults, but Quad J eating Exhaust's Grav is shown to be the key for that fight, I think. I think if that Grav comes out from Exhaust, we're singing a different story, especially with those double-layered support ultimates coming through. But now they're marching on to the next point. They're already on it, and Quad J has a bomb. Passo has a shatter. We've seen these two become big before.
Indeed, we have. Davey dropped early. Oh, again, the Earth Shatter from Passo. What is it about the Reinhardts today? He's basically channeling quads. That's the game over. And that is 2-0 for Athletico. What a way to finish it off there on point B. You couldn't have asked for anything better than that.
Yeah, very solid showing from Athletico. Quad J and Paso really putting the team on the back. Getting these massive shatter combos, the bomb combos have all been really good today.
Super, super solid stuff from Athletico. Impressive indeed against Melbourne Mavericks, but you do have to consider this Melbourne Mavericks roster is, for the majority of them, playing their first game of Overwatch Contenders today.
Yeah, it's good.
There is, you know, a little bit of maybe nerves. Maybe you can make the argument that they are new to Contenders. So, look, it's looking decent for Athletico, but let's hold our hype until we get to see how they go next week, how they go in week 3. Because, you know, we've seen how often you can look at a game in week 1 and be like, damn, that team looks good. And then when they go up against more difficult opponents, it starts to slip away a little bit.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of development for this team. Players like Soggy, Razorfish, Penny, very new. They're fresh blood. And playing officials is very different to playing the scrims. I mean, they've probably got hundreds of hours of scrims, but playing in an official setting where it all matters, you know, there is no second chances essentially. It's quite a different pressure. This
would have been a day that all these players have been sort of thinking about for a long time as well. Like, you know that you're in Contenders for a good solid couple of weeks if you make it through from trials or if you were picked up by an organisation that was already in Contenders. So you'd be waiting for this day, and then the day comes and you still have to wait because you have to watch the first game before you end up playing, and then all of a sudden you're in the game. And like I think it's the kind of thing where, again, I've never been a professional player in Overwatch Contenders, but I feel like it's the kind of thing where you wait for it for so long, and then it's like, bam, it's like right on top of you.
Yeah, it can be quite intimidating when the day does come, and all of a sudden you're in the lobby, you know, the seconds are counting down, and I don't know, they're handling it pretty well though. They don't look lost, which is the main thing. They don't look like they're out of their depth, and that's good because going forward they're going to get more experience, they're going to get more comfortable playing together, and they're going to get more comfortable playing in a professional setting, and only big things from there.
It's definitely been a pretty solid contest. That much can be said from Melbourne Mavericks. And in fact, on Busan, it almost looked like they were going to come away with the win there. They started off so well on downtown. They managed to cap away the second point as well. So I do feel like there's a world in which Melbourne Mavericks is able to get a map today.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that Busan was very, very competitive. We forget how competitive almost, just because that Volskaya looked a lot better for the side of Athletico. But I don't know, getting a map, it might be a bit of a tall task.
It probably is going to be a tall task, but it's not out of the realms of possibilities, is what I'm trying to say. We do still potentially have 2 or more maps coming up. It's time for us to take the halftime break, but we'll see whether or not Melbourne Mavericks can come back into this series.